Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Taylor, and I am joined by our expert guide for this deep dive, Sam.
Hey, so picture a sold-out mega stadium,
Okay.
like a massive one. Now imagine filling that stadium to absolute capacity every single day, 365 days a year, without a single exception.
That visual is just, it's staggering.
Yeah.
But that is the reality of what we are unpacking today, because I think when you ask someone to name a global religious epicenter, one that draws massive crowds, the Vatican is usually the first guess.
Right.
And the Vatican sees about 9 million visitors annually.
Which is a massive number.
It's a massive number. But the destination we are looking at today, the Tirupati Balaji Temple, or the Sri Venkateswara Swami Temple in Andhra Pradesh, it makes 9 million look like a quiet week.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they get up to 100,000 people arriving there daily.
Yeah, which brings the annual footfall to nearly 40 million people.
Wow.
It is the most visited pilgrimage destination on Earth, full stop.
See, the logistics of managing that many humans in one place just breaks my brain. And it's not just the people, it is the sheer capital involved.
Yeah.
The trust that manages this site, the Tirumala Tirupati Devastanams, is sitting on estimated assets of over 3 lakh crore rupees.
Yeah.
We're talking tens of billions of US dollars. So the immediate question is, how does a single temple amass that level of wealth? Because, when you see numbers like that, the instinct is to assume it operates like standard charity, right? Like people dropping a few coins in a box to keep the lights on.
Right. That is the natural assumption.
Yeah.
But the financial engine of Tirupati's operates on a completely different theological framework. It isn't charity at all.
Okay.
It is the repayment of a divine debt.
Okay, I have to pause you right there, because this is where I got genuinely confused looking at the background material for this deep dive. The lore centers on Lord Venkateswara,
Right.
who is an avatar of Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe in the Hindu Trinity.
Right.
Usually, divine beings of that caliber are portrayed as omnipotent, all-powerful, entirely beyond human constraints like money. Why would the preserver of the cosmos need to take out a loan?
Well, it's a brilliant paradox, really.
Sure.
And it gets to the heart of what an avatar is. When a deity descends to Earth, they take on human limitations.
Okay.
So the legend tells us that Lord Vishnu descended in the form of Venkateswara and fell profoundly in love with a princess named Padmavati.
Who was herself a manifestation of the goddess Lakshmi, right?
Right, exactly. And to honor her status, he wanted to host a wedding ceremony that was unimaginably lavish. But, inhabiting a restricted earthly form, he simply didn't have the funds.
So wait, he essentially takes out a cosmic mortgage to finance his own wedding?
That's exactly it. He approaches Kubera, the Hindu god of wealth, and borrows a phenomenally vast sum. And the terms of this loan are what drive the entire modern-day economy of the temple.
Wow.
Venkateswara is bound to repay this debt, along with accumulating interest, until the end of the current cosmic age, which is the Kali Yuga.
Which we are currently in.
Yes, the debt is still active. So when a pilgrim arrives today and drops a rupee or maybe a gold bangle or any offering into the donation boxes, which are called hundis, they aren't giving to a charity.
They're paying his debt.
Exactly. They are making a direct financial contribution to help their beloved deity pay down his cosmic mortgage. You are actively balancing the books of the universe.
That changes the entire psychological dynamic of the visit. It's not passive observation. It is an active partnership with the divine.
Yeah.
And looking at the demographics, the specific narrative of carrying a heavy burden for the sake of love, it seems to resonate incredibly deeply with NRI families, non-resident Indians.
Oh, it is a perfect psychological mirror. Think about the immigrant experience. Leaving your home, moving across the world to build a better life. That journey is so often defined by financial debt, by immense familial obligation, and by the collective effort of sending remittances back home. Families who understand the crushing weight of generational debt see a deity who is experiencing their exact same struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Albeit on a mythological scale. It strips away the untouchable majesty of the divine and replaces it with a shared working-class solidarity almost.
You are bonding with a god over the stress of paying off a loan.
Exactly.
That is a profoundly comforting theology. But to actually make that payment, to participate in this, you can't just wire the money from your phone. You have to physically show up.
Yes.
And the geography you have to traverse to get there is intense.
Very. So the temple sits at an altitude of 853 meters on Venkata Hill.
Right.
Which is one of the 7 peaks of the Tirumala Hills. But in the theological framework, these aren't just scenic mountains. The 7 peaks represent the 7 hoods of Adishisha, the multi-hooded cosmic serpent, on whom Lord Vishnu eternally rests.
Meaning, the landscape itself is sacred. You aren't just walking up a mountain, you are traversing the body of the divine serpent to reach the heart.
That is the mindset of the pilgrim, yeah.
Which brings us to the actual physical journey. Because there is a famous 14-kilometer pedestrian path starting from Alapuri at the base,
Right.
winding all the way up to the summit. And tradition dictates that you walk this barefoot, 14 kilometers uphill on stone without shoes.
Yeah.
That goes beyond a hike, that borders on physical punishment. What is the psychological mechanism behind that level of hardship?
Well, it serves multiple purposes. Psychologically, it strips away your modern arrogance. Every sharp stone, the heat of the ground, the ache in your muscles, it forces you out of your comfort zone and grounds you in the present moment.
Because you cannot be thinking about your emails when your feet are aching that much.
Exactly. But it's also about deep historical continuity. By placing your bare foot on those specific stones, you are making physical contact with the exact same ground that millions of seekers have touched over the last 1,000 years.
You merge your individual journey with a millennium of collective devotion.
Yeah.
And the environment you are walking through isn't just a barren staircase either. This path cuts directly through the Sri Venkateswara National Park. The forests here are highly protected.
They are. You are sharing this crowded pilgrimage route with serious wildlife. Sloth bears, leopards, pangolins, and hundreds of bird species inhabit these hills.
That juxtaposition is just wild to me. You have this massive, churning human infrastructure, 100,000 people a day, cutting a path right through active leopard territory.
It illustrates the Hindu concept that the divine permeates everything. The wilderness isn't a chaotic space kept separate from the holy site. The wilderness is an intrinsic part of the sacred space.
Right.
The animals are just as much a part of Lord Venkateswara's domain as the high priests inside the sanctum.
So you make this grueling barefoot trek up the cosmic serpent right through a jungle. You are physically exhausted, your modern comforts are gone, but the physical pain isn't the ultimate sacrifice, is it?
No, it's not.
Because once pilgrims reach the top, they perform an act that strips away the one thing physical exhaustion can't touch, and that's their vanity.
Right, the tradition of tonsure.
Or head shaving.
Yeah, head shaving.
Right.
It is one of the most powerful and visually striking devotional practices on the planet.
I want to dig into why hair specifically. Because shaving your head isn't just a haircut. It completely alters how you present yourself to the world.
Hair carries an immense amount of symbolic and psychological weight, especially in Indian cultural traditions. It is intimately tied to physical beauty, personal vanity, youth, social status, and individual identity.
Yeah.
So when a devotee sits in that chair and allows their head to be completely shaved, they are performing a highly visible act of ego death.
You are literally leaving your pride on the floor before you are permitted to meet the divine.
Exactly. You're making a physical statement that says, I bring nothing of my own vanity into this space.
But the story takes a massive pivot here, because it goes from a deeply spiritual act of ego death into a mind-boggling feat of global logistics.
Oh, yeah.
Because we aren't talking about a few dozen people. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of people shaving their heads. The Temple Trust, the TTD, collects, processes, and auctions off approximately 800 tons of human hair every single year.
Managing 800 tons of hair is a staggering industrial operation. I mean, it has to be collected daily, washed, meticulously sorted by length and quality, graded, and then sold at international auctions.
And the revenue from this is astronomical. Hundreds of crores of rupees, meaning tens of millions of US dollars, generated annually from the international human hair trade.
Yeah.
The irony here is just thick. You have this deeply personal, sacred act where an Indian pilgrim surrenders their ego. And that exact same hair, because it is often virgin hair that has never been chemically treated, is highly prized.
Yes.
It becomes the raw material for premium wigs and hair extensions.
Fueling a multi-billion-dollar global beauty industry.
Just think about that closed-loop paradox. The raw material of a surrendered ego becomes the commercial product of enhanced ego.
It's wild.
It's sold in high-end salons in London, New York, Paris, to people who want to boost their own vanity, who likely have absolutely no idea that their extensions came from someone explicitly rejecting vanity.
It is a profound modern paradox. Yet the millions of dollars generated from that international vanity market go directly into the temple's treasury, circling all the way back to helping Lord Venkateswara pay off his mythological wedding loan.
Wow.
The ancient theology doesn't reject the modern global supply chain. It absorbs it entirely and makes it a funding mechanism for the ritual.
That is just brilliant. So you've climbed the mountain, you've shed your vanity at the barber, you are physically and mentally stripped down to your rawest self. Now you are finally ready for the climax of the entire journey, the darshan.
Right. Darshan translates simply to the act of seeing and being seen by the deity. It is the absolute emotional anchor of the pilgrimage.
I am trying to picture the logistics of the inner sanctum, though. With 100,000 people moving through every day, I'm guessing you do not get to stroll in and have a quiet 10-minute meditation.
Oh, far from it. To understand the darshan, you have to understand the psychology of the queue. If you were in the free queue, you might be waiting for 12 to 20 hours.
Wait, 20 hours of waiting?
Yes. You are in large holding areas called the Vaikuntham queue complex. You are sleep-deprived, you are fasting or eating very little, you are constantly surrounded by chanting.
Right.
By the time you actually approach the inner sanctum, your brain is almost in an altered trance-like state.
You've been primed.
Exactly. Then you step into the innermost chamber. The air is thick with camphor and incense, the chanting is echoing off stone walls, and housed within is the sacred image of Lord Venkateswara, adorned in golden ornaments of staggering historical and monetary value.
Wow.
Crowns and jewels gifted by kings over centuries. But you only get 2 to 3 seconds in front of the deity before the crowd physically pushes you forward.
2 seconds after 20 hours of waiting? That's intense.
It is intensely fleeting. But pilgrims consistently describe those few seconds as carrying a concentrated emotional intensity that is just overwhelming. That brief moment of locking eyes with the divine, after all that physical and mental preparation, it hits like a freight train.
To streamline that process just a bit, the RS300 special entry darshan ticket is the absolute most sought-after pass, which we will get to in a minute.
Right.
But once that overwhelming, fleeting moment is over, there is a tangible physical reward that brings you back down to earth. The prasadam, specifically the Tirupati Laddu.
Yes. Prasadam is food that has been offered to the deity and is distributed as a blessing. And the Tirupati Laddu is legendary in India.
What blew my mind is that this laddu actually holds a GI tag, a geographical indication tag.
It does, yeah.
So legally speaking, under international trade law, this sweet made of chickpea flour, cashew, and ghee is protected just like Darjeeling tea or French champagne.
Exactly. You cannot legally produce a sweet outside of this specific location and call it a Tirupati Laddu. It must be made within the temple complex kitchens, which are known as the potu.
And the scale of this kitchen is just as industrial as the hair processing. I mean, the recipe hasn't changed since the 18th century, but they are executing it on the level of a modern mega factory.
Oh yeah, they're operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are bringing in literal truckloads of raw materials to produce 100,000 of these lattice every single day.
That's unreal.
And receiving that warm sweet in your hand right after the intense spiritual high of the darshan, it serves as a psychological grounding mechanism. It is a tangible, heavy, sweet piece of the divine blessing that you can literally consume.
Well, we have to pivot to the practical side of this because anyone listening is probably wondering how a normal person actually navigates a site with 100,000 daily visitors.
Right.
How do you plan this without spending your entire vacation trapped in a 20-hour line?
It requires meticulous logistical planning. You cannot treat this like a casual tourist stop. Securing that RS300 special entry ticket online through their official portal, ttdsevolonline.com, is critical.
But getting a slot sounds like trying to buy front-row tickets to the biggest stadium concert of the decade.
It is highly competitive. They release quotas, and because the daily limit is a mere fraction of the total visitors, those online slots can sell out in minutes. You really need to be booking 4 to 6 weeks in advance.
I noticed there is a specific carve-out for the NRI community as well.
Yeah, there is a dedicated counter in queue for non-resident Indians, which does make the process smoother, provided you have your passport and valid proof of NRI status. It acknowledges the deep connection that the diaspora maintains with this specific temple.
We also need to touch on the dress code, because modesty is strictly enforced, which I imagine acts as another leveling mechanism.
It does. It enforces uniformity and respect. Men are required to wear dhotis or pajamas with an upper cloth, and women must wear saris, salwar kameez, or similarly conservative traditional attire. Whether you are a billionaire CEO or a rural farmer, You enter the court of the deity wearing the same simple cotton garments.
Timing is also crucial. October through March seems to be the consensus for avoiding the brutal South Indian summer heat.
Yeah.
But September is an interesting outlier.
September hosts the Brahmotsavam festival. If you want to witness the absolute pinnacle of the temple's festival calendar with the grandest, most electrifying devotional atmosphere, you go in September. But you must be prepared, because that is also when the crowds swell to their absolute maximum.
And if you are traveling all the way to Andhra Pradesh, you are likely pairing this with other monumental sites.
Right. The sacred geography of India is highly interconnected. Pilgrims often use Tirupati as an anchor, heading further south into Tamil Nadu to experience the UNESCO-listed Chola temples, or connecting it to ancient spiritual centers further north, like the Ghats of Varanasi or the Buddhist sites of Bodh Gaya.
So stepping back from the logistics and the sheer scale of the crowds, the hair, the gold, what is the ultimate underlying truth of this place?
Well, the duality of Tirupati raises a fascinating philosophical question about the future of religious institutions globally.
How so?
We often assume that for ancient traditions to survive, they must isolate themselves from the modern world. But Tirupati does the exact opposite. On one hand, it is primal. Barefoot mountain climbs, ego-surrendering head shaving, a mythology about cosmic debt.
Right.
But it manages these ancient rituals using ruthless, cutting-edge corporate efficiency.
Right.
It runs international supply chains, manages tens of millions of dollars in diverse assets, and operates an industrial culinary machine.
It makes you wonder, as the world becomes increasingly hyper-capitalist and digital, and as traditional organized religion declines in many parts of the West, is this the ultimate survival model? Will other global faiths eventually have to adopt this kind of corporate theological integration just to remain viable in the next century?
It is a provocative thought. Tirupati proves that ancient faith and modern logistics are not mutually exclusive. When fused together perfectly, they create an engine of devotion so powerful it can pull 100,000 people up a mountain every single day.
A closed-loop system of faith, finance, and logistics that literally never stops turning. If you decide to travel to India, we have a recommendation. Five Senses Tours organizes tours across India which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@fivesensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact@fivesensestours.com, or WhatsApp to +919 845 67446.